What's up, guys? Today's video is gonna be a little different, primarily because instead of looking at an endless black void, you'll be looking at your unc's nerd stuff. The other thing is I'm gonna have some guests coming over this weekend, so your unc's gotta clean the bathroom and do other fun grown-up things that he does not like to do. So my voice might sound echoey at points or, just a little off. But today I wanted to talk about Fire Force. The final episode has dropped. I have seen it. I have seen Fire Force in its entirety. And, yeah, I have concerns. First, we're just gonna jump straight ahead. This is spoilers for like the last episode. Just getting some water here. So, Shinra, pretty much, which we saw on the 24th episode, he's pretty much remade the world into this weird, like almost cartoonish. Oh man, I think we're out of Clorox wipes. He rebuilds the world into this like kind of cartoonish version of itself. And unfortunately, I had the ending. Well, not the ending, but I had the fact that, at the end of it all, we find out that the world of Fire Force is also the same exact world as Soul Eater. And that part kind of was spoiled for me because I had remember clicking on a video that pretty much was like, here are all the connections between Soul Eater and Fire Force, and I was like, what? Like, that really caught me off guard. And, let's see. Pardon all this noise, everyone. There we go. So that really sucked. I did not like that I kind of had it spoiled. Like, I had no idea these two shows were connected so heavily. Yeah, I had a couple of things spoiled for me on accident though, because I was kind of like snooping around trying to find stuff out without being spoiled, and I spoiled it myself. So I can't really be too mad. It's my own fault, mostly. But the other thing that I definitely was not a fan of was kind of the lack of a climax. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but Fire Force is basically like a shonen, right? Like I don't know. I'm not some anime expert, but I can't help but feel like I thought it was a shonen myself. I mean, if I'm wrong, then it's whatever. But basically my complaint is we got done building up what was her name? Frick. Not the chick with the crown on her head all the time, but the one that they're serving, the evangelist. That's what it was. That's what that thing was called. So they built up the evangelist, right, throughout the whole. I forget. I think the white clad or whatever they call them. They don't get introduced until the second season, if I'm not mistaken, or at least halfway through the first season. I'd have to rewatch some of it just to kind of refresh my memory. But, yeah, so we built up the evangelists. We now have, what you would call it, like, there's a whole bunch of like parallels going on, right? So you have the female pillars. Amaterasu, Iris, the psycho chick with the pink hair. I did not bother to remember her name. And then the old lady nun. They all kind of like sacrifice themselves, like they're inside. Or at least that's the way that the anime portrays it. I could be wrong. The anime portrays it as if they are like inside the consciousness of Amaya. I think that's her name, right? The one who wears the crown all the time. And so then on the opposite end, you got Shinra, who just did Soul Resonance, which should have been the first giveaway that. Well, I guess no. The moon, the very clear Soul Eater moon, probably was the first. That should have been everyone's first. Moment. Oh, this is Soul Eater related. But then the second one would definitely be Shinra using Soul Resonance with his brother Sho and his mom. Which, dude, what is up with the mom? I'm so confused. She became... Oh, wait. I think I just answered my own question. So one of the main plots is that Infernals are doppelgangers in Adola, finally making contact with their, we'll just say Earth for the sake of argument, with coming into contact with their Earth counterpart, right? So does that mean that Shinra's mom was like a successful... Because that's what they're trying to do, right? They're trying to like become one, the Infernals and the... Well, I guess at some point they said that they're just trying to replace them. And, some of the Infernal versions of their characters end up looking just exactly like them, which I'm not going to lie, I don't know why they went that route when they did such a good job at the beginning of like Shinra's mom. I don't remember her name. Shinra's mom's Infernal looked crazy. Like maybe she was a demon, because that is another thing that exists in Adola. But that kind of bummed me out that they kind of got lazy. I mean, I get it, if you're drawing manga by hand all the time, that's why we have Super Saiyan, because they were tired of inking Goku's hair. And, well, the manga and anime industry is better for it. But a part of me just kind of feels like you guys got lazy. Instead of coming up with some cool designs for the Infernal counterparts, you just... Oh, here's... how do you say his name? Is it Kibito? Man, he's like one of my favorite characters too. How the heck do I not know the guy's name? The captain of the 8th. Kibito or something like that. His doppelganger Infernal is literally, it looks exactly like him. And that was something that was like kind of a plot point towards the end of the series, was that the worlds were merging. And so it was becoming obviously easier and easier for the Infernals to come over. And a lot of the Infernals just ended up looking just like the people that they were supposed to be copying and stuff. Which, again, Shinra's mom did not look like that. She looked like a demon. Now, I don't know if only the demon ones look that way, because one of the other captains, I think it was captain number 1 or 2, if I'm not mistaken, his looked like a demon, or was a demon. It didn't necessarily look like him all that much, but it was his doppelganger, so maybe that explains it. Shinra. I don't know why I'm getting tongue twisted on this. Shinra's mom's infernal doppelganger was a demon. But what I was trying to get at is that it would appear that Shinra's mom was a successful merging of... Because that's the whole thing, right? The Infernals come to merge or to take the place of the human counterpart. But Shinra's mom looks like the demon. But then when the demon opens her mouth, a la Dorohedoro, you can see Shinra's mom's head in there. Yeah, I know, it's weird. So is she like, is that like her thing? Is that why she's special? Because she was like a successful merging of the two versus just one taking over? It's very interesting. Because I find it very weird that she talks and everyone can hear her. Well, at least this is the beginning when they reveal that the mom is still around. So it's like, here's Shinra's mom, she talks, but the lips don't move. And then it's like, oh, well, no, she's still in there, like figuratively and literally in there. And I don't know, it just looks funny to me, just seeing the mouth open and then seeing his mom's mouth in there. Talk, oh, son, I love you so much. Oh, I'm so proud. It just looks funny. It looks funny, that's all. What are the other things? Oh, so I got, your uncle likes to ramble and yap. So the other thing that was just kind of like, I was kind of disappointed was the lack of I cannot talk today. Probably because I'm trying to focus on cleaning too and talking. Thank God I don't have to tie my own shoes and chew gum at the same time. That's a very old person saying there. Anywho. The lack of a climax is very disappointing because, like I was saying, they built up the evangelists and they built up the white clad and they did all this stuff. And it was like, I mean, don't get me wrong, the part of the white clad essentially winning, right? Because that was their whole thing. They wanted to make another son. They wanted everybody to die. And that happened. And there was black flames everywhere, and it looked cool. And so they had won, in that regard. But what I mean by the lack of climax is I was really looking forward to one last jaw-dropping battle with Bansho, Shinra, and the Evangelists. And so a part of me was just disappointed. Like there literally was no battle. 0 battles take place. 0. It was literally just Shinra talking to her. And I mean, I get it. He was trying to talk to the humanity of Hamea. Trying to reach her, trying to get her out of her despair. Because her backstory kind of sucks. She can literally hear every complaint, every misery of the collective unconscious. And which, by the way, the collective unconscious being such a important part of the story, like that's basically why that's basically like why some things look cartoonish or strange in the world after it starts to merge with Adola, is because that's how the collective unconscious view those certain things, like the moon, or at least that's what they said in the show. Can I just say that this collective unconsciousness stuff is so Persona coded, it's like not even funny. Don't get me wrong, Persona's amazing, especially the last 3 installments, but I don't know, I just kind of like, when they said that, I don't know, something about it. Again, Persona kind of ruin's not the right word. Persona's already done stuff like that, especially with like the 5th one. And so for me, I'm just kind of was like, this has already been done. Like I was kind of hoping for something a little more original. I mean, obviously it's not handled exactly the same way. They don't go into people's brains or consciousness and confront them and, a la Persona. But I was just kind of hoping for something a little different. Pardon this flush. Don't worry, I'm not using the bathroom. I'm cleaning it. That'd be kind of gross and weird if your uncle was talking to you. If your uncle was talking to you while he was dropping a deuce, that'd be kind of weird. Just for the record, kids, I am not that kind of uncle. What else? I personally feel like the whole second half of the third season was rushed. I do. I don't know. There were episodes that were just kind of like dedicated to like one character, right? Or one specific group of characters. So for example, like Arthur Boyle, right? Arthur Boyle. How come I remember his name? He was not one of my favorite characters, I will tell you that. Didn't hate the guy, I'm just kind of meh. I feel like this trope's been done to death. Guy who thinks he's a knight, or a guy who takes his gig way, way, way too seriously. So like Arthur had his own episode with Dragon, but they gave the how do I want to put this? I'm gonna call her the Smut Kitty because I don't remember her name either. Listen, I'm old school. You know, I'm conservative as well, pretty conservative. Like, I grew up in a Christian home, you know, and I'm just like, I could do without the smut. I could. Yeah, like I get it. That's kind of like, you know, that is a trope in anime. I understand that, and I accept that it will be around, you know, for years to come. I get that. I get it. But like, it's boy, it just is like, it's a bit much with her. It really is. I mean, to the point where they're like literally poking fun at it, like, oh, it's a curse. Like, she's literally just cursed to freaking show that much skin at any given time. Like, and she kind of like gets her own little episode where it's like, I'm sorry, her episode could have done without it. And obviously I have bias there because I'm not a fan of that stuff. But even if I was a fan of the smut and stuff, you know, like, sorry about that, y'all. Had to do a quick edit. But what I was gonna say is, like, you know, 15-year-old me would have been all about that chick and her smut, right? Like, I mean, you know, understandably so. I'm 15. You know, hormones are raging, you know, blah, blah, blah. I'll spare you the details, but even if I wasn't, you know, a Christian or whatever, I would still, like, it's probably because I'm older now, you know, like I'm always saying, I'm almost 40. I just, like, I don't know. It's weird. I go back and forth about the whole turning 40 thing, because on one hand, I'm just kind of like, dang, you're old. Like, you are literal dust in the wind, like the song. But on the other hand, I take pride in it, because it's just like, yeah, I've been around the block. I know some things. You know, I'm not just some loon, like, because there are some old, you know, there's old people in our lives who, you know, talk out of their backside like they know what they're talking about. But then you look at their life and you're just kind of like, all right, dude, if any of what you're telling me was even remotely true, how come you don't have, you know, how come your life doesn't reflect that? There you go. That's how I want to word that. And, you know, it's just like, you can't take those people seriously. It's just like, yeah, you're cool or whatever, but clearly you don't know what you're talking about, because if you did, you would take your own advice and your life would reflect as such, and it does not. So anyway, yeah, she did not need her own episode. Honestly, I feel like just the older anime viewer community in general is kind of like over that stuff, I feel like. Because I watched Team 4-Star. Excuse me. They're the guys who did the Dragon Ball Z Abridged way back when. And obviously they stopped doing it. Don't get me started. I'm still healing from that. They stopped. And so now they do, you know. Oh, man. I don't want to be rude to them and be like, it's like supplemental content or whatever, but it's not the content I'd like them to make. I'll tell you that. They do make it from time to time. Like, they just recently put out like Sailor Moon Abridged. they were doing like such and such a show, like Demon Slayer in 16 minutes, or JoJo's Bizarre Adventure in 5 minutes, you know, stuff like that. And so it was very abridged, coded, but it's not the same. Anyway, so what they do now is with the supplemental content is like they do reviews, and they do, you know, it's still very much on the pulse of anime at large. Like they just recently like did a video about like, can we fix the live action Death Note movie, you know, stuff like that. And so they did a tier list of, you know, tropes in anime that they're just, you know, from garbage tier to S tier. And lo and behold, the smut slash excessive fanboy fan service stuff got a very low tier. It got a very low rank. It might have even got the bottom. I don't remember. I'm not gonna pretend like I remember. But I do remember being surprised that, but I mean, they're older, you know, and then one of them's gay, and so there's not too many, you know, there's not too much gay smut in anime. I know it exists, but there's not, you know, compare it to the smut from the female end, you know, it's very one-sided. I was very surprised to see both of them just kind of be like, yeah, we're over it, you know, we're tired of it. And I agree. I'm tired of it too. It's been done to death, you know. It's until someone comes along and like does something fun with it. Like they were kind of trying to do that with this character, like, oh, she's cursed or whatever. Like, ah ha ha, it's funny. She literally can't help it. And I'm like, that's actually kind of sad and messed up if you think about it. Like, she literally can't control it. She can't stop it. Like, that sucks. Like, that should not be played for laughs. I'm laughing. Please understand. I am laughing, but I'm not laughing at, like, I'm not laughing at any of what I had seen with her or the fact that it's a curse. I'm laughing that they thought that would, I don't know, make it better. I don't know. It's just funny that they thought it would be better that way or something. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see here. This bathroom's looking pretty good. I am content with this. I am now moving on. So yeah, it just felt rushed. I mean, it's just like, again, it was kind of cool, you know, Arthur got an episode, the smut chick cat got an episode. Who else got an episode? I'm trying to remember. So those were cool. Again, could have done without the cat smut lady, but you know, whatever, it is what it is. But even still, you know, because those were only like, I don't know, I want to say like maybe 3 episodes that were like just solely dedicated to, you know, the one character. Which, granted, there's a ton of characters, you know, in the main cast of the 8th company. I didn't need an episode for like the tech guy with the burgundy hair. I didn't need an episode for the silly doctor guy with the fro. Like I didn't need an episode for Joker, even though I guess Joker's not really he's not really a member of the 8th, but I digress. My point is like, I didn't need an episode for every single character, sure, but it just felt rushed. I don't know. And that was like, they broke it in half too, you know, like, think about that. Like, I guess I should be grateful, huh? It could have been worse. They could have not been allowed to do the break and cut the... Your unc's out of shape. Whew, getting winded, sweeping. Bad sign, bad sign. Anyway. What else do I want to talk about here? It was rushed. The series as a whole. There we go. The series as a whole. Where does it stand? Cause fun fact, I did your Unc did a top 10 anime of all time, and a whopping 4 people have seen it. I'm sure I've pissed off all 4 of those people. Cause I mean, looking back at it, I'm like, I mean, obviously it's my list, you know, it's like no one's gonna agree with me. I grew up in a different era of anime. You know, I grew up where anime was not popular, like, at all. Your Unc grew up in that generation where I was mocked for liking such a thing, especially from my family. And I mean, like, you know, I'm a dad now, and so it's just like, I genuinely cannot be too mad at them for that. Especially my dad. He's very, 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 very traditional. Very, very old school. You know, like when he was, I was going to say my age, but that's not, when he was a teenager, there we go. When he was a teenager, you know, it's like grown dudes got openly mocked for like being caught with wearing a Batman shirt or a Star Wars shirt. I mean, during that time, when my dad was a teenager, they didn't even make, like, you know, Star Wars, Batman stuff for adults, right? Like, think about that. Back in his day, that stuff was for kids, and that's it. It stopped at the kid sizes. And I'm sure everyone was sitting there going, why do we need a Star Wars adult size shirt, you know? Now, granted, I'm sure those things existed. I'm not saying they never existed, but they were definitely harder to come by than they are nowadays. Because, you know, all that nerd culture stuff is way more openly accepted. So my anime top 10, it's top 5. My list is very different from everyone else's because of those elements. You know, I wasn't allowed to see every little thing. I didn't have access to it or whatever. Moreover, I didn't even know it existed. So, where does it stand overall? It's just kind of okay. It's definitely not in contention for like greatest of all time. No. At least not for me. Definitely not. I remember really struggling to get into it in the beginning. I remember that very clearly. I think I was like on episode 5 when I finally was like, oh, okay, the show is good. I don't know, like, I don't feel like I have that problem with most anime. You know, I usually fall in love. Well, fall in love's a bit strong, but you know, I usually, it's around episode 3 for me where I'm like, okay, yeah, no, this is cool, and I'm committed now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm seeing this through to the end. And yeah, Fire Force, boy howdy. Well, I mean, there are, just going back to the 3 episodes, usually that's my cutoff. 3 episodes, I'm like, all right, the show ain't wowing me, like, I'm cool off of this. So, like, shows that got me hooked in, like, the first episode, 2 episodes, Dr. Stone, like, that got me hooked right away. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. What do you mean? Well, everyone got turned to stone out of nowhere. Like, what? Like, it's very intriguing. Speaking of which, did Dr. Stone end already? Or is that about to end as well? I was keeping up with it for a while, but, I left off when they were going to start making their way into space or something. They figured out that there's somebody on the moon who's, you know, releasing those little, what were they? The devices that turn people to stone. But, yeah, I need to finish that. It's just kind of mid. Not Dr. Stone, but like Fire Force. It's just okay, you know, and I know that sucks because mid nowadays is like a super, like, it's negative. I remember me and my friend were discussing that, like, when did okay become bad? When did average become bad? I don't know. What's wrong with these kids? Like, dude, like, average is average. Like, there's nothing wrong with average. It's perfectly fine and acceptable. Acceptable? Interesting phrasing there. It's acceptable. Sorry, just looking at the camera, making sure we're still rolling. I've had troubles in the past where the camera will just cut out and stuff. Like, for example, so it's like, I remember the first season fairly well, right? Because I feel like every anime's first season is, like, the core concepts are roughly the same. Here's the world, here's how it operates, here's our main character, here's the main cast. You know, here's some stuff that's going on, you know, here are some of the bad guys, or, you know, something that you want to pay attention to, right? So it's like, obviously, I remember that, and it's introduced all the characters. And again, but you know, this is, you know, we're firefighters, but we actually don't really fight like fires in the traditional sense. We're actually fighting fire creatures, which were humans who just spontaneous combusted, blah, 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 blah. And then it's like the white clads show up, and then they start doing their thing, and we find out a little bit more. I mean, because it did have some good, like, plot twists. I feel like I really value a good plot twist in an anime. And finding out that, like, oh, this reactor that powers, you know, Tokyo is actually it's Amaterasu. It's a person. One of the Adola bursts or whatever they were called, right? Like, she's been in there since who knows how long. And then when they went, where did they go? They went off Shinra and Arthur and I think a couple other. There's a small team where they run into the animals that could talk and stuff. And they find that whole other freaking generator or whatever. Just, you know, a failed one. And then they meet that one chick and it's just like, wait, like, what's going on? Outside of that, like, what happens after that, I could not tell you. I could not tell you. I feel like everything after that point, everything is just such a blur. Like, I feel like all the episodes were just the white clad just trying to, you know, do whatever. And then the next thing I can recall off the top of my head is the pillars started showing up, which that would be the beginning of season 3, I want to say. Because I know Shinra, like, time traveled or whatever. That's where the mid-season 3 break happens, right? So it's like, what even happened? Was season 2 about the team going off out of Tokyo? And I mean, it might have been. I don't know. I just genuinely don't remember. Which to me is like, I guess I'm older and my memory kind of is just garbage in general, but I feel like that if your anime is good, like, I'm gonna remember it, right? Like, I can remember 80% of what happened in the Saiyan saga from Dragon Ball Z. 80% of what happened in order on the Namek saga, the Cell saga, even the Buu saga, which is not really that good. But I remember it though. Right? Like, and now granted, like, maybe Dragon Ball Z is an unfair comparison. I get that. So what about, trying to think of an, Soul Eater. Ah, yeah, there we go. That's topical, right? I can remember almost everything that happens in Soul Eater. You know, Maka is about to catch a witch soul. It ends up being a cat. She has to start over. The Meisters and the weapons' whole goal is to turn their weapon into a death scythe for death, the actual literal bleh, I cannot talk right now. The actual literal embodiment of death to wield against the, what was his name? I remember his real name. His real name was Ashura, and he was a Kishin, I think, right? So it's like, I remember all that. And I remember that season 2 introduced the Spider Lady and the original Chainsaw Man and the mosquito character, right? Like he'd suck your blood and he'd get hecka buffs. Like I remember those characters. And I remember that they were, I'm trying to remember, the Kishin hadn't been released yet, if I recall. Or did he? No, he hadn't been released. That was the whole thing. So the first season was, you know, them collecting souls and trying to stop Medusa. Right? See? Now I'm trying to remember, did Medusa work for the Academy in the beginning? I want to say she did. And then they found out she was up to some sick SH, and so she bailed. She had basically been experimenting and torturing poor, what's that? Corona, right? See? Dude, I'm telling you, that's how you know a good anime, good is not fair. We'll say great. Like that's what separates it. Like you can remember all that stuff. It stays with you. You know, Corona had, what was his name? Ragnarok, which was his weapon, fused to Corona. Like they two could never be separated. And, sorry guys, I hit the mic on accident. I'm sweeping, if you can't tell. Ragnarok is like, he's not even human. I'm still not entirely sure what that guy is supposed to be. But obviously that's Corona's weapon. Like I remember all that stuff. I remember Black Star and Tsubaki, Death the Kid, which we see, by the way, him being created at the end of Fire Force. Fun fact. We see Maka's mom. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We see Maka's mom, which we never got to see in Soul Eater from whatever, or at least the anime adaptation. We got to see Maka's mom and her dad chilling by the fireplace. And she's reading her a story about Shinra. So I'm not exactly sure if there's like a time skip from when Shinra reimagines the world till the very actual start of Soul Eater, because the way the final episode ends, it talks about like, oh, we'll see you in Soul World or something like that. So I'm like, is Soul World what the Japanese call Soul Eater? And they just changed it for us Americans, or I don't know. Or maybe it was a typo, who knows? But that's how Fire Force ends, with Maka and her family and them explaining the creation of Shinra's new world. But I'm rambling now. I'm yapping away. That's what I do. I yap to nobody. But that to me is what separates a great anime from a good anime. And that's why I'm like, Fire Force is just gonna be good. And mind you, also, like, the last time I watched Soul Eater was like, Jesus Christ, 2017, 18? Probably even farther away than that. Probably closer to like 14, 15. I'd have to look. to make sure, but like, it was a long time ago. And yet I remember so much about it because it was so good. I remember the ending pissing off a bunch of people, and I was like one of the few people who liked it. I remember the Kishin eating the spider chick's soul. I remember all this stuff. I do. I remember that literally, I understand why people were like, the Soul Eater ending is trash, because the way that the way Maka defeats the Kishin is kind of, I don't want to say it's lame, but I could totally see why some people would just write it off as lame. I do. Because literally the Kishin is the embodiment of fear, right? That's his whole shtick. He the more afraid you are, the stronger he is. So she literally just clenches her fists, no soul, no weapon, decides, yep, I don't care. I'm afraid, but I'm still swinging for you. And that ends up freaking him out. And that's how she ends up beating him, by just simply saying, I am afraid, but I will not be. Or I'm scared or whatever. I forget how you word that exactly. Like it's okay to be scared, but not afraid, or vice versa or something like that. Basically, just because you're afraid, you shouldn't stop whatever it is that you're doing. You know what I mean? Like just because you're afraid doesn't mean that you just don't act. Because that's fear, right? It's weird. Afraid, you got scared, afraid, and fear. Fear is when you become immobile, like that you can't, like some people are fearful of spiders or whatever, right? Like they see a spider, it's a wrap, they can't move, they're freaking the F out, they're gonna set the house on fire, right? What Maka did was like, I am afraid of the spider, metaphorically speaking, but I am still going to confront the spider despite being afraid. And I thought that was cool. I do. Like, I think I'll remember it for the rest of my days. Like she literally, Maka was the original One Punch person. She was the original One Punch character because she beat that dude with one punch. She had tried earlier, fighting him from what I can recall, but then none of that was working until she finally figured it out. Like, I just can't be afraid. Like, I just can't, I have to walk over there and punch this dude as hard as I can and not be afraid of anything while I'm doing it. And, again, that stuck with me. Like, I'll remember that forever. And I'll remember what were they called? Stance Punk? I even remember the ending theme, I Wanna Be. Because they started playing that after she punched the dude into oblivion. Like, that to me is what separates a great anime from a good anime. How memorable were all of these things? Like in my top 5 video, like I talk about like Attack on Titan. Like, dude, I can't tell you how many moments there were where I was just utterly flabbergasted. Jaw on the floor, right? Like, just there's too many to count. That's another show that is one of the greatest shows, the greatest anime ever made. I mean, oof. Your Unc's getting winded over here from just, I don't know, probably, I'm in real bad shape, guys. Sheesh. Anyway, I gotta end it here because I've been yapping away for who knows how long. Pardon the noise, I'm getting into the room. Holy moly, yeah, I've been yapping away for like 40 something minutes, maybe even 50. But anyway, guys, yeah, Fire Force was cool. I enjoyed it ultimately. It's not a great, like, it won't be ushered into the greats. I'm sorry, it won't be. It's cool that it has such a heavy connection to Soul Eater. But I guess if you think about it, because Soul Eater came first, obviously, but if you think about it, it's like Fire Force walked so that Soul Eater could run. All right, that's a good way of looking at it. It's still a cool show. Ending rushed. Could have done without the smut cat chick lady episode. And really just her character as a whole. But, you know, I get it. Sex sells. They got to get the young dudes in seats. And then, of course, the lack of an epic battle at the end between Bancho, Shinra, and the Evangelist. Why was that not a thing, guys? Why was that not a thing? I mean, because that's like one of the whole points of having anime adaptations versus mangas, that you can change it up a little bit, right? So I didn't read the manga, but as far as I'm aware, it's very, very close to what we got in the anime, which is no battle. And I'm just, guys, why? You could have changed it. You could have given us an epic battle. Also, before I go, I really liked Shinra Bancho's design. I like the weird little wispy cloth things coming out of his back with the kanjis on them. He looked really cool. I like his design a lot. And also, did he end up looking like a devil and a demon? Because remember, we were talking about that the collective unconscious morphs everything in Adola, or when Adola was merging with the earth, it warps it into whatever it is, it warps it into what the collective thinks it looks like, or, you know what I mean, imagines it looks like. And everyone would call Shinra a devil, right? Like, that was his whole thing. He was the devil with the fire feet, or whatever they called him. So is that why he ends up looking that way? Because that's just how everyone in the world saw him? I wonder. I mean, that's probably explained in the manga, but like, that's my guess, is that he looks that way because of, you know, everybody viewing him as a literal devil. And so that's what he became. And then also that was the other thing. Did I miss something important? Because when they're sitting there and the Evangelist is talking to Shinra, and Shinra keeps making he made a new world, he brought back all the dead people, right? He's doing all this stuff. And the Evangelist is just like crying her eyes out, because she's just like, basically she's like, you're just gonna cause, what was it? Despair? There was a specific word she used. Like, you're just gonna start it again. Like, the cycle's just gonna keep going then. And Shinra was like, well, no, it's not, because I created this guy and he's death. So I am so confused. Did people not die? Did people not die in Fire Force? Am I tripping balls? Am I like just not understanding? Because it's like, why did you create, you know what I mean? Like, he made a very big emphasis on like, I created death. Death now exists. And that's gonna make us value life more. Huh? Was that the only way a person could die, is if they internally combust and then the Fire Force put them down? I'm so lost now that I'm thinking about it. Like, no. See, that's not true, because what's his name? Benimaru's teacher, freaking some kid just stabbed him in an alley and the dude died. Right? And he's like this great, like super hard guy, right? And he gets taken out by a punk with a knife. But he died. So I'm super confused as to, like, if death already existed, what was the point of making... Well, because he's the god of death? I'm not entirely sure, but that's something I just thought about. Like, wait, there's death already exists in your world. Why did you need to create a god of death? Oh, was it maybe because death was just like, kind of like how a lot of atheists or whatever think, like the lights just go off and that's just it. And so maybe the god of death is in essence an afterlife, maybe? I don't know. Getting too philosophical here. Anywho, I've been rambling long enough. Thanks for watching this video. Let me know what you thought of Fire Force. I'm curious, now that it's all said and done, where you guys stand on it. And I will see you in the next one.